I didn't expect anything unusual from the company party. It was just another corporate mixer with cheap wine, forced smiles, and people pretending they liked each other. My wife, Maren, had been excited all week. New promotion, new department, new faces. I went to support her, nothing more. I'm Rowan Hale, 42, project manager by title, problem solver by nature. I've never been the loud guy in the room. I listen, observe, file things away. Maren used to say that was what made me steady, dependable, safe. We'd been married 11 years, long enough to know routines, short enough to remember sparks. The venue was a renovated loft downtown. Exposed brick, dim lights, music too loud for real conversation. Maren looked incredible in a deep green dress I hadn't seen before. When I told her that, she smiled, quick and distracted, already scanning the room for coworkers. That's when I noticed Callum Pierce. Tall, polished, loud laugh, the kind of man who takes up space because he assumes it's his. He was standing too close to Maren, hand lingering on her lower back as he spoke. She didn't pull away. She just laughed, the kind she hadn't shared with me in months. I told myself not to overreact. It was a work event. People drank. Boundaries blurred. Still, I watched as Callum leaned in, said something low, and Maren tilted her head, smiling. When he brushed her arm, slow and deliberate, something tightened in my chest. I stepped closer, close enough for Maren to notice me beside her. Callum didn't move. Instead, he looked me up and down, then smirked. "You must be the husband," he said, like it was a punchline. His hand stayed where it was. Maren finally shifted away, just an inch, not enough. "Callum, this is Rowan," she said. He nodded, eyes never leaving mine. "Relax," he added, lowering his voice. "We're just having fun." The word fun landed wrong. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't clench my fists. I simply said, "Don't touch my wife again." The music kept playing. Conversations continued. But something shifted. Callum laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound, and leaned in closer than before. That's when he crossed the line. His hand slid down her arm, fingers curling possessively. "Easy, man," he said. "She doesn't seem to mind." Maren froze. She didn't laugh. She didn't speak. That silence told me everything. I stepped between them, calmly, deliberately. "Party's over," I said, not to him, but to Maren. I took her hand. Callum scoffed and reached out, grabbing my shoulder like he thought he could stop me. I turned slowly and looked at his hand. Then I looked at his face. "Remove it," I said, quiet, flat. He hesitated, pride fighting sense. When he tightened his grip, security finally noticed. Everything happened fast after that. Hands pulling us apart, voices raised. Someone spilled a drink. Callum shouted that I was overreacting. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. The staff escorted him out, still protesting, still loud. The ride home was silent. Maren stared out the window, arms folded. Finally, she whispered, "I didn't think he meant anything by it." I kept my eyes on the road. "He meant enough to ignore me," I replied. At home, she tried to explain. Networking, office culture, misunderstanding. I listened, like I always did. Then I asked one question. "If I hadn't been there, would you have stopped him?" She didn't answer. That night, I slept on the couch. Not out of anger, but clarity. I realized something fundamental had cracked. It wasn't just about Callum. It was about respect, and how easily it had been compromised. Over the next week, I paid attention. Late texts, changed passwords. A phone turned face down. I didn't accuse. I observed. The answers came without questions. Trust doesn't shatter loudly. It erodes quietly. 2 weeks later, I told Maren I wanted space. She cried then, said it was nothing, said she loved me. I believed she believed that. But love without boundaries isn't love. It's convenience. I moved into a short-term rental across town. Quiet place, clean start. We're talking, slowly, cautiously. Maybe we'll rebuild. Maybe we won't. But one thing is clear now. Crossing a line doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's a hand that lingers, a laugh that lasts too long, a silence that follows. And sometimes, the man who sees it doesn't shout. He simply remembers his worth. I don't know what Callum thought would happen that night. Maybe he assumed I was another passive husband, another background figure. He was wrong. Not because I'm violent or dominant or intimidating. Because I'm present. Because I pay attention. And because I don't negotiate respect. If there's a lesson here, it's simple. Boundaries don't need speeches. They need action. The moment someone tests them, your response teaches them exactly who you are. Maren knows now I won't look away. Whether that's enough for us remains to be seen. But I won't unsee what happened, and neither will she. Some lines, once crossed, change the shape of a relationship forever, not with explosions, but with clarity, the kind that settles in your chest and refuses to leave. I didn't lose control that night. I found it. I still believe in marriage. I still believe in loyalty. But belief without self-respect is just surrender. And I've surrendered enough for one lifetime. Whatever happens next, I'll face it awake, not numb, not hopeful out of habit. Awake to who I am and what I deserve. That's something no coworker, no party, no careless hand can ever take from me again. And if someone ever tries, they'll learn the same lesson Callum did. Respect isn't requested. It's enforced by walking away, by standing firm, by knowing when enough is enough. And that knowledge stays with you long after the music stops and the lights come on. It becomes a line you never let anyone cross again, no matter setting or cost.